This last week has been crazy. Steam Deck won the Golden Joystick's Best Gaming Hardware Award. Plus, what does this new flavor of Proton mean for us? And how and why did Nintendo weaponize the DMCA against PC gamers? I mean, who would have thought that Thanksgiving week here in the US would be such an eventful week for the Steam Deck? That's right, it's Steam Deck news time. First up, the Steam Deck has won the Best Gaming Hardware Award at the Golden Joysticks 2022. This is a fairly prestigious award. To put that into perspective though, in 2021, the best gaming hardware was the PlayStation 5, and then in 2019, it was the Nvidia GeForce RTX 3080. So the Steam Deck is in pretty prestigious territory right now. It was up against Playdate, Analog Pocket, Backbone 1, a gaming mouse, and a PS5 SSD. That's some pretty stiff competition, especially in the handheld space. I won't lie, I have been an analog fan for a while, and I've wanted the Analog Pocket since it was first revealed back in 2019. But the deck takes the cake here without question. I mean, it's unapologetically a PC with all of the pitfalls and benefits that come with it, yet it has realized the potential of Linux to provide a truly streamlined and console-like experience for those who want it. This is a well-deserved victory for our favorite gaming handheld. It'll be interesting to see what other accolades the deck will receive in the coming awards season. Stay tuned because we're going to be covering all of it. Alright, next there's a new flavor of Proton on the block, and it's called, funnily enough, Proton Next. According to Valve dev Pierre Liu, quote, "We just added a new Proton flavor, Proton Next. It'll be available whenever there is a new major stable update of Proton to test. Currently live with Proton 7.0-5, and then later in the thread he mentions, if it tests good, Proton 7.0 will be what's currently in Proton Next, and Proton Next will be retired until there's something else to test. In contrast, Proton Experimental contains more changes that are still not ready to go to a stable branch, and more are constantly added." So this is a sort of testing phase. When Proton releases are stable enough to be rolled out for wider testing, they'll take the shape of Proton Next. And when Proton Next graduates to a stable release, well, then the name is retired until a new experimental build is ready for testing. This is pretty cool, and it should allow for more folks to be able to take advantage of newer Proton features with confidence. Next up, let's talk about this. There's a 1TB Micro Center branded SD card over on Amazon. It's got an A2 rating, and all of the specs seem to offer good performance on deck. Keep in mind I haven't tested this, but I did find this on the Steam Deck subreddit, so if you pick one up, let me know in the comments how it works for you. Okay, did you hear that the fun police at Nintendo have yet again weaponized American law to attack some of their biggest fans? It's true. To understand the absurdity of this issue, you first need to know a few things, so let's get up to speed. First, what is Steam Grid DB? Well, it's a community-maintained website which offers fan-made artwork for games. The artwork made available on this site conforms to Steam's library grid and allows you to easily customize the artwork for your games in your Steam library. A great example of this would be Halo Infinite. The official artwork for Halo Infinite is absolute trash, so I can go on, find the artwork that I actually want to use here, and then use that instead, which is pretty awesome. But this also works for games that aren't even available on Steam. You can add non-Steam games to your library and then find professional-looking artwork to make the game's appearance in your library seamless. In fact, there are tools that can automate this process. EmuDeck is one of them, and I've made a video about just that. It turns out I have many of the games that I physically owned dumped onto my Steam Deck, and they are all using art from Steam Grid DB. Now keep in mind that even though I am emulating these games and emulating them in what I believe to be a legal and ethical way, the only thing that has come from Steam Grid DB is the artwork that is visible in Steam. And much of that was also made by the community. So here's where the lawyers come in. Unbelievably, even just the artwork in question was too much fun for the grumpy misanthropes at Nintendo Corporation. Nintendo has apparently issued DMCA takedowns against some of the artwork on Steam Grid DB. So they weaponized the flawed DMCA takedown system to attack their biggest fans. Now this is classic Nintendo, and I'm not surprised that they did this, but something needs to be done about this DMCA stuff. It's awful. Finally, as we often do to close out Steam Deck news videos, we talk about new software updates for the Steam Deck. It's been 11 days since I've done a news video, so there have been many Steam Deck updates. So let's start in chronological order. The first one is a new stable deck client update. Changes include, quote, reduced client startup times for users with large game libraries, which, hey, there's that again. Fixed issues where launching a game would take longer to start if there was no network connection. Fixed VR flags not showing up in app details for some games. Fixed downloads page crashing when starting in offline mode. Downloads page now properly responds to online and offline status. Collections view can now show more than 2 rows of collections and allow scrolling. Reduce the size of Steam Client download. Fixed Bluetooth failing to turn on in gaming mode if it was disabled in desktop mode. When installing a game, always show the install location picker if there is more than one library folder, and automatically focus the default library folder when the dialog shows up. They've also added an error dialog for when the user clicks on a mail to link. They fixed the cancel button in the Wi-Fi password dialog for a new connection causing the current network to disconnect. They reworked gift pending pages to be gamepad navigable. They fixed incorrect sizes of main menu in docked mode with 4K displays. Virtual keyboard now has a maximum width so it doesn't stretch to an unusable size on large screens. They set the scale for startup movies so that the top and bottom of the movie are cropped to a 16:9 aspect ratio. In desktop mode, they fixed issues preventing the virtual keyboard from accessing the clipboard and being unable to perform paste operations. They've centered the pop-up controller configurator window when viewing controller layout. They've fixed circular download progress indicators being broken in game entry lists. They've added new login flow that supports QR code functionality. They fixed an edge case in handling of invalid cache credentials affecting reauthentication. For Steam Input, the touch option is now available to controllers which do not have capacitive touch sensors. Moving joystick out of the dead zone now counts as a touch. All controller types can each now optionally choose to use a Nintendo-style layout. This flips the A and B button and X and Y buttons universally in Steam and in games. The desktop controller layout now defaults to a desktop-friendly set of controls. Long pressing the menu button will toggle back and forth to a gamepad-friendly layout, which is a really awesome feature. They updated Steam controller left bumper and right bumper button images as well. And the new big picture mode update is now available for testing, and you can read more about it in the official blog post, which we've talked about in a previous video. Then on November 18th, there were fixes for some pop-up dialogues not displaying properly without GPU accelerated rendering. They also were able to fix some issues with virtual menus for action sets, layers, and mode shifts, and were also able to restore L3 and R3 functionality for some third-party PS3 controllers. On the 21st, they fixed controllers being treated as Xbox One controllers by default, added left and right stick deflection as an option for gyro activation buttons, and some issues with remote play. And then a preview update hit that fixed a regression where Resident Evil 4 wouldn't launch. All in all, these have been some pretty massive client updates, which honestly they have seemed to become lately. Before I end the video, I want to take a second and reflect. This week has been incredibly busy for me. Emily and I hosted Thanksgiving for my family here at the house, and it caused a great deal of introspection for me. I'm grateful for you guys and your continued viewership, so thank you so much for being here. It's because of folks like you that I'm able to continue doing this. If you're in the US, I hope that you had a great Turkey Day, and for everyone watching, I hope that you have many things to be grateful for. Your family, your friends, that's what's most important. So please, if you haven't had a chance lately, reach out to someone you love and tell them that you love them. Life is too short to waste every opportunity. And I think that's how I'm gonna end this video. Thank you to my patrons and my YouTube members. I couldn't do this without you guys. You can support the show with the links below, and as always, I hope you have a blessed day, and I'll see you next time.